Farm Journal broadcast. This is AgDay.
Coming up today on Ag Day, China possibly back buying U.S. ag products.
There are rumors out there of significant quantities possibly being traded.
Washington's abuzz about E15 and RIN reform. We'll have a report from the nation's capital.
Plus, what will producers be planting this year and how much? We give you an exclusive look.
Ag Day, presented by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever.
Good morning, I'm Betsy Gibbon. Clinton is on assignment. You'll hear from him in just a few minutes. Allendale Incorporated releasing the results on its farmer survey on what will be planted this year. And it looks as if corn could be king once again. In its 2019 acreage survey, Allendale has corn acreage at 91.4 million acres, down slightly from USDA's ag form. For soybeans, the brokerage has 84.2 million acres, also down from USDA's numbers. Wheat comes in at 47.4 million, hardly a difference from the department's. However, this could be the second smallest all-wheat acreage since 1919. We talked with Rich Nelson, chief strategist with Allendale Incorporated. He says if realized, farmers won't plant as many acres as USDA intends.
USDA suggested about a 2 million acre drop at their ag form numbers for the top three crops. Our survey here suggests almost a 3 million acre drop. Looks like a simple pushback in general for all acres in regards with this low price environment we have right now.
Here are some other takeaways. The brokerage company believes corn production could total 14.8 billion if achieved. The 2019 number would run the second highest ever. With soybeans, Allendale says given the higher beginning stocks, potential total supply of 5.1 billion would be a new record.
In the coming years, I do have some questions about how many acres we will be pushing into these crops, especially as right now on the wheat side, for instance, it appears the question is how many acres can we drop out of wheat, specifically winter wheat. So I think on the acreage discussion in the coming years, perhaps we'll moderate numbers. Certainly for this year, we simply can't change supply that quickly. It's more or less like turning a cruise ship, so to speak.
There are 29 states participating in the survey this year. The push is back on to get E15 year-round ready by the summer driving season. As we first told you yesterday, the EPA is advancing a plan that would get the biofuel in the market. AgDay's Clinton Griffiths is in Washington right now getting reaction to this. He's a guest of Missouri Farm Bureau on Capitol Hill. Clinton, the president has been pushing for this.
Thanks, Betsy. It was about a year ago that the president made the promise to farmers across the country that they would begin to work on year-round E15. Well, now it looks like the administration is moving in that direction. I talked with some of the farm lobbying groups here in D.C. and they say, yes, this is a step in the right direction.
It's good to have a proposed rule to look at. I think it's pretty straightforward when it looks towards the E15 and year-round sales. I think folks are still going through some of the RIN reforms, the impacts that'll have to the RFS. And, you know, there's an opportunity to provide comment and something we will do as that comment period opens on the proposed rule.
Yeah. Do we think tying the two things together, the RIN reform and the E15, bogs this thing down? Is there a chance it can't get done because of that?
I think there's a concern that that's the case. I think we would have liked to seen two separate rules, one on E15 and summertime sales and the other on the RIN reform. It's not how the agency went about it, but the fact that they got a proposed rule out now, we still got a month, 2 months to go till we get to June. The potential's there to have something finalized before June 1st.
Now, will it or won't it be approved? I get a chance to ask that question to the new administrator of the EPA, Andrew Wheeler. I have an interview with him later this week. Watch for it online and on Ag Day. Betsy?
Thanks, Clinton. A developing story we're following. Our industry insiders reporting China is buying 3 million metric tons of U.S. corn for shipment from the Pacific Northwest. If that's the case, that would be the most significant single purchase by China on recent record. Brian Bassing of Advanced Trading looking into the numbers. He says the last time China purchased that much U.S. corn was in the 2011-2012 season. That's when it purchased more than 5 million metric tons for the entire year. I talked with him about what this possible purchase means.
What I caution your viewers is that right now the export market looks quite weak. And again, that was probably a driving force behind this move to new lows. So it would be a big deal if we can get, if you will, a shot in the arm with some old crop business to China here in the near term.
Basting says China did buy about 3.2 million metric tons in the 94-95 crop year as well. This news coming as our Washington insiders update us on trade negotiations between the U.S. and China, reporting that Friday, March 29th is the new date being talked about for a possible meeting between President Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. That's if the ongoing talks complete the big hurdles remaining between the two countries. President Trump Mar-a-Lago Resort is one of the places being discussed for the meeting, but it is just one of several options. Earlier this week, a White House spokeswoman said no date had been set for a signing ceremony, and on Tuesday, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer would not comment to a timetable wrapping up the talks. Sorghum stockpiles are on target to reach a 13-year high due to the trade war with China. That's according to the Fern's Ag Insider. USDA's latest Grains, World Markets, and Trade Report, also known as WASDE, shows 2018-2019 exports are lowered 15 million bushels to 85 million, which, if realized, would be the lowest since the 2012-2013 season.
Well, the reality is China was such a large buyer of our crop, and it had been buying 70, 80, 90% of our export business. And so obviously with the situation with China in the last year, that's the obvious answer.
Luss says there is demand for sorghum with some European countries. USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service is changing the way it conducts the highly anticipated annual August report. The agency will soon just rely on farmer surveys for that month. The department will no longer travel in the fields to assess the crop to conduct an August objective yield survey for the month. Employees will instead do that later and release the information called TS Objective Yield Survey in its September, October, and November reports, in conjunction with the farmer surveys.
Really, from a market perspective, I don't see a whole lot of impact here. Maybe the market will take the USDA August crop estimates for corn and soybeans now with a little bit lesser degree because it isn't based on anything where they get into the fields.
Grady feels the biggest impact will be to the Pro Farmer Crop Tour. That tour will soon be the first survey-based survey the market will receive. More bad news for the nation's dairy industry. USDA reporting licensed dairy farm numbers declined by more than 2,700. It equals a drop of 6.8%. There are now just over 37,000 licensed dairy farms in the country, down from more than 40,000 last year. Wisconsin, which has the most dairy farms in the nation, also saw the biggest drop, with 590 farms alone last year closing. A major winter storm continuing right now to dump heavy snow and high winds in the plains. Meteorologist Cindy Clausen updates us on that and shares some warmer thoughts in today's crop comments.
That's right, Betsy. That storm is still going on, and as we look at how it's shaping up, you can see that low pressure is going to be moving into the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes as we head through the day today. Snow still falling on that northwest side, and the winds still howling in a lot of the north central United States. The low moves up into the upper Great Lakes as we get into tonight and tomorrow morning. The center of that low pressure will be in Canada, and notice we're losing a lot of that moisture on the back side of that storm. Well, now on to something that tells you that spring is in the air. This video was shared by Peter Hill. He's an agronomist in Texas. Now, he shared this spectacular video on Twitter of bluebonnets in bloom. The bluebonnet is the state flower. Now, just look at the spectacular color there. It's really quite a treat. Thanks so much for sharing with that. Let's take a look at our wind forecast as we head through the next 24 hours. We're going to be seeing again some pretty windy conditions in the plains and in the upper Midwest as that low pressure system moves to the east. Also very windy in much of the Corn Belt, even into the eastern Corn Belt as we head through the day today. Winds kind of slacking off just a little bit into the overnight hours, and through the day on your Friday, we're going to see those winds start to pick up in the southwest, but a lot of the northeastern quadrant of the country will still be on the windy side. I'll have your national forecast coming up, but for now, here are some hometown temps.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
Still ahead, what producers need to know about the corn market right now. And later, a different kind of farming involving ostriches. but it's not without its struggles in the country. Those rumors about corn heading to China fueled a bit of a rally in both corn and soybeans, but after Tuesday's dramatic rise, wheat suffering losses again on Wednesday. We get an update from the CME.
The soybeans were mixed. It really traded on both sides of the $9 mark. That has become the benchmark, so thank goodness we're sitting there. Brazil did cut their crop estimates, and that gave the market a little bit of a boost, but it didn't really sustain much. So corn was also firm today. There has been some follow-through buying, even though a lot of the news is kind of neutral to even bearish a little bit. But hopefully the low is in for corn, and we can start to move on the upswing. Now wheat retreated today. It's giving back some of yesterday's gains, but 25-cent move is really pretty good. I know that we had talked about this before, that wheat would be the leader if the market actually started to rally, and sure enough, it showed us it did. It has been very strange that a lot of the investment funds have been short corn, wheat, and soybeans at this level, at this time of year, right before the grains are going to, right before, excuse me, the planting season is started. We haven't seen this really since like 2016. I know it's only been a couple of years, but that was kind of a big, a year that was on the decline. It's not really showing that same numbers here as far as weather and the carryout numbers. So we're going to watch that closely. I think that there's a lot of volatility ahead.
Corn stocks are high and markets have been low lately. So what should producers do? Tyne Morgan has some advice from the road.
Here now with Dwayne Bussey of Bolt Marketing. Dwayne, when you look at the corn prices and this frustrating slim trading range we've been in, farmers right now are searching for, okay, what strategy could I use to help me in my marketing plan? Are there any out there that may be wise for farmers right now?
Well, yeah, I kind of think so. You're right. The prices have dropped quite a bit lately, and it seems like most brokers, including myself, are bullish corn longer term. So we're a little shocked that it's going lower, frustrated. Everyone wants to go higher. Markets are a little boring. But the strategy I would suggest is maybe courage calls. And I know that's a little bit controversy in the industry. Should a farmer who's going to be long corn anyway, always long corn, should he really be buying calls? And I guess my thought is if you go out on a dip like this, let the funds sell the market, it's cheaper. Go ahead and buy a call for like August short dated new crop. Say a 425 call for 10 cents. If by buying that call, it gives you the courage to sell at 420, 430, 440 as the market rallies, which I think it will this summer, then the courage call worked.
So, I mean, is it an expensive tool right now? I mean, really, when you look at it, and we're so strapped for cash right now, how much capital is it going to take to do that?
Yeah, and that is the frustrating thing. About 10 cents for, and then the 5,000 bushel contract. So it's not horribly, but now's the time to do it because you just mentioned we've pulled down in prices here and we're not sure why. Don't try to fight this market all the time. If it drops down, then you look at courage calls. If it goes higher, then you're selling the market. You don't have to outguess it all the time.
All right, Dwayne Bussey, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Let's take a quick break and then we'll have much more right here on Ag Day.
For marketing advice, call Bolt Marketing, a futures and options brokerage firm. Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
Welcome back to Ag Day with meteorologist Cindy Clausen. Cindy, that winter storm over in the Corn Belt in the Midwest has already had a lot of impact. What are we seeing?
Yeah, it really has. Record low pressure in Pueblo, Colorado. We've had wind gusts recorded at 80 miles per hour in Denver, and those winds and the snow continuing to move into the northern plains and upper Midwest today. Let's take a look. You can see that low pressure, and it's still pretty tightly wound as it's going to be heading up into the upper Midwest, moving off to the northeast. Let's put this into motion. Still some pretty good snow on the back side of that, but not quite as much as what we were seeing over in parts of Nebraska, South Dakota. The whole system continues to push to the east. Still a threat for some severe weather on the south end of this as the cold front pushes through the southeastern United States. Heading into the overnight hours we go. Not much happening out west. Everything is in the eastern part of the country. Still some snow in the Great Lakes. You still have the showers and thunderstorms along especially the leading edge of that cold front. Through the day on Friday, secondary cold front will keep the chance for some snow and rain rain in parts of the Great Lakes, while the main cold front bringing showers and thunderstorms along the east coast. Precipitation-wise, it's been pretty heavy. This has been all snow for the most part in parts of the Dakotas. This is the past 24 hours. And in Nebraska, all rain here. You see some heavy rain, especially around the Memphis area. Putting in the next 24 hours, everything pushes to the east. Not much happening out to the west, but a lot of heavy rain, especially in the eastern part of the country. All right, your snowfall estimate, it's been pretty heavy over the past 24 hours, well over a foot in many locations. And as we add the next 24 hours, you can see how everything moves off into Canada. So that's where the heaviest moisture is there, but it's not nearly as bad as what we were seeing in parts of the Dakotas and Nebraska, Colorado, and also eastern Wyoming. As far as temperatures go, you can see where that cold air is over in the western part of the country, northern plains into the high plains and the Rockies. We see that really nice warm air into much of the eastern Corn Belt. Don't get too used to that. That's going to be going away as we get into the next day or so. Temperatures, you see that cold air coming in to the eastern Corn Belt. Look at those lows getting down to the teens and 20s off the west side, 60s in the southeast. And as we get into tomorrow, much colder for those folks in the eastern Corn Belt. The real warm air remaining in the far southeastern United States. Big trough there in the nation's midsection. That's going to be moving off to the east. But look what happens in the west. As has been advertised, that big warm up as we get into the late part of the weekend and into the early part of next week. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check on the weather where you live. Ashton, Idaho, plenty of sunshine for you today with a high of 33 degrees. Baxter, Minnesota, breezy with rain and then a wintry mix with a high of 38 degrees. And Albertville, Alabama, showers and thunderstorms with a high of 70.
Still ahead, should vegetarian products be able to have names like sausage or steak? What people have to say about that next. Plus, another meat packer is growing next.
Spray for as low as $3 an acre with a new Apache sprayer. Talk to your local Apache dealer or run the numbers at apachesprayers.com/return. Drover's Report is sponsored by Corteva Agriscience, Agriculture Division of Dow DuPont, your partner in range and pasture productivity.
Drover's reporting the nation's 4th largest beef packer is growing. National Beef is buying Iowa Premium, adding an additional 1,100 head per day to its packing capacity. Located in Tama, Iowa, Iowa Premium employs more than 800 people. Cattle are bought primarily in Iowa and surrounding states in the Midwest. The deal is expected to close during the second quarter of this year. Should vegetarian products be allowed to have meat-related names? A new survey says no. The survey was conducted by polling expert Survey Goo. They asked about 1,000 people some questions, surveying everyone from vegetarians to meat eaters. 25% said manufacturers of vegetarian products should not be allowed to use names like sausage, burger, or steak. Vegetarians were least likely to support a ban of meat-related names, but 33% of vegans who also avoid milk and eggs, and 26% of meat eaters also said no. Managing director for Survey Goo says vegetarians seem to prefer products that mimic traditional meat, but it's a turnoff for many vegans. Drought, not an issue right now in most of the U.S., but in other areas, it's a serious situation. What it's done to the ostrich population in one part of the world next.
Drover's Report is brought to you by Beringer Ingelheim. They understand that when you put cattle first, it naturally leads to doing the right things.
They can be a bit feisty and ornery at times, and their numbers are dwindling. We're talking about ostriches, and the problem is not enough rain in South Africa. Heads held high and their beaks open, these ostriches are trying to stay cool. The Western Cape of South Africa boasts one of the world's largest ostrich populations. With not a single cloud in the sky, farmers there are worried. One man has been farming ostriches for more than 30 years. As the months go by without any sight of rain, he wonders if the farm will continue to be profitable.
The farmers are struggling in this area, and that you can see by the decline in the ostrich amount of people in the industry, as well as the amount that's been slaughtered during each year. There's been a nosedive in those quantities. Normally we were slaughtering about 240,000. This year I don't think we'll slaughter 120,000. So it's 50% off from the normal average, and it's about 30% down from last year.
Dams, rivers, and irrigation feeders have been empty for some time. The area is also under water restrictions, and experts say if there's no rainfall, they will only have enough water to last until May. So for now, these ostriches take sanctuary in somewhat cooler early morning sun. Well, that's all the time we have this morning. We're glad you tuned in. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Betsy Gibbon. Have a great day.